nothing left for me to hate, so I can lay me down, my brothers, on the ground. I bled today until Coyote comes to raise me up and carries me away to go. Leave me, run like you never did. No, believe me, run like you never run before.
Good evening and welcome, Allan McDonald.
Oh, straight off the bat.
You know, I've been thinking about something funny to say, and I've just been thinking about it for a little while, and I've got hello and welcome to the Scottish Rugby Podcast written down on my notes to remind me. And every time Alan's not on this podcast, I do it perfectly. And then he comes on with his smouldering good looks, propish looks, and his amazing Scotland training jersey on, and it just ruins it completely. So I'll start again. Hello and welcome to the Scottish Rugby Podcast. I'm Craig Manson. And, you know, listen, if I knew that I could hijack a parade for my birthday, the Cooper Gala would have been absolutely thrown by me standing at the side thanking everyone. So anyway, I am joined tonight by our resident health guru, Allan McDonald. Hello, Allan.
Hi. How are you?
I'm
sorry,
good.
my son text me, it came up in the corner of my screen. I was like, what? He was asking who's the Mountain Dew in the fridge for, and he's in the huff because he couldn't. I'm using the living room, so he can't come in and watch cricket highlights. So I might have to let him have the Mountain Dew.
I'm also joined tonight by our resident transport guru, Iain. Hey. Hello, Iain. How are you doing tonight?
I'm fine, thanks. And also, so is the flow of traffic east and west on the M8. How are you?
Amazing. Our resident IT guru, Mark. How you doing, Mark?
I'm very well, thanks. You may have been right with I2. Frankly.
I2D2. And also by our resident fitness guru, Jonny McGinty, who is sitting there. And if you can't smell him from where you are, we've not got smell-o-vision, but he has been running before he came on the podcast. I don't know what he was running from, but you all right, Jonny?
Yeah, I'm all right. My run was terrible, by the way. I would highly recommend it to no one. Don't do it.
Well,
brutal.
you're
Do you know what, right? With all due respect, with all due respect to all of our patrons who do enjoy, listeners who do enjoy a run, and especially the ones who pad our Doddy League stats with their runs every January, anyone who takes any sort of enjoyment from running should be the subject of medical study, because it was absolutely awful.
It's the most boring thing. It's like, I just hate it.
Well, to be honest,
there's no like seeming end goal to it, is it? You're just out running. You're like, all right, I can set myself this. Then there's all these variables, and I've never enjoyed it.
Well, I really don't know what to talk about, because really running is an alien thing for me. I used to just like meander from ruck to ruck, so that was about it. I used to sneak myself out of the wing and then have a turn the pace when there was a try to be scored, but that's about it, really.
Yeah, you scored your international try at full speed, Craig Benson.
That's very true, but I don't like talking about it. So
is that over 3 yards by any chance, Jonny?
3 yards.
You know what?
How
No,
very
I think it was maybe 8 to 10 yards when he scored it. It was about 25 yards by the time he was telling it in the changing room, and it must have been close to halfway line by the time we were on the bus home. It was a proper.
That is only right and proper. Come on,
Proper
that is
rugby player.
standard storytelling.
Listen, I'll tell you, it was not all of us have scored tries on international soil. So I will that's all I'll say. Playing an international game as well, so I'm not going to comment anymore about
But we have soiled ourselves at internationals.
that. I don't actually remember. I don't think we were actually sober, and we had walked around the city of Amiens for hours prior to that game, if I remember correctly, Jonny, because we got a civic reception.
But eating so many small cubes of cheese and sausage, though. We were well fueled.
Picky uppies were very good.
Was that the one you did Flower of Scotland before the game?
Oh yeah, there was Flower of Scotland.
Yeah.
We ended up singing Flower of Scotland in the middle of Amiens as
We
well
always-
at one point. And
We always do Flower of Scotland if we've got a visiting team from overseas or we're playing overseas, and it is a matter of record that Craig and I cry every single time.
okay, yeah,
Can't help
I might-
ourselves.
like we cry, and then it's added to by Highland Cathedral. Either that or Highland Cathedral starts it, and then you start getting built up, and then you come with Flower of Scotland. So
Oh, see, I cannot stand Highland Cathedral.
Get out.
Oh, it's dreadful. It's a
Yes.
dirge.
my dead grandmother's favourite song, Alan McDonald. So how dare you? I'm going to see that. I played the dead grandmother card straight away.
Yeah.
You see that?
Well, do you know what? It was
Oh,
also the song that we had at my best friend's dead dad's funeral as well, McDonald. So wipe your neck.
Just be thankful. Just be thankful this isn't in Patreon. If it was in Patreon, I'd have a very different response to this.
The funny thing about it is it's all the Southerners that love Highland Cathedral, and the actual Highlander doesn't like it. It's ridiculous.
I think I'm only, my ex-wife would remind me I was only a Highlander by sufferance and living up here. I wasn't actually born or grew up here.
So tonight we are going to do a little bit for free, and then we're going to move over to the Patreon side of things. Tonight is our URC review show. It's not going to be that exciting. It's just, we try our best to just go through it and say, yeah, well, this was that and this was the other, and that's about it. So it should be fun.
and that's enough about Edinburgh strategy.
And that is pretty much. But we might talk about this and that and the other, but at the end of the whole Patreon episode, we will stand and say that we are incredibly proud of the team and what we've done, and we've fought hard, even though we've been pish.
A lot of learnings.
A lot of learnings to be taken. But anyway, welcome to the Scottish Rugby Podcast. We're brought to you by the Scottish Rugby Blog. Our podcast is part of the Sports Social Network, and so please don't forget to give us a follow or a like on your favourite podcast app. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to give us a follow on social media. You can find all the links on our site, www.scottishrugbyblog.co.uk. You'll also find some fantastic articles about Scottish rugby, about both pro teams as well, and about Scotland women, etc. If you're listening on Apple and like what we do, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you'd like more content, like we're about to go on to about the URC review of the year, and you like a little bit, let's just say we're a bit looser when it comes to chatting about things, etc., and you want to support what we do, you can subscribe to our Patreon from just £3 a month, plus the VAT, and that gives you access to a super secret Facebook group that Iain keeps telling people what the name is, and the second part of tonight's podcast, as well as Patreon exclusives. And we're trying to get some Patreon exclusives set up for over the break, because this is our last podcast for a little while, because we're all going to take a well-deserved rest and take some time off rugby, because rugby, along with the world, really has become a bit kind of calamitous for the last wee while. So although it's been, I don't know, I've quite enjoyed it, but Scottish rugby's a bit calamitous, I suppose. But I'm sure we'll talk about that in our Patreon chat about the URC review. So
At
we'll
least we
move
don't
on.
have the traditionally calm and well-tempered Lions to deal with all summer too.
Well, we have got a bit of Lions. We'll probably do a bit of Lions work, etc. But to be perfectly honest, whenever Xander Fagerson was announced as he's not going, and then I saw Finlay Beelan's smiling face coming into the British Irish Lions, that was it. It was ruined. The whole thing was ruined. And I'm quite an upbeat person about the Lions.
See,
Xander,
I like to think that like I'm like quite party about the Lions, right? I like the Lions as like a nice, fun concept, but I don't understand how we came to be in a world that there are 3 Connacht players in the Lions squad. Like that's not an acceptable outcome for anyone.
Alan, you're going to say
I think Xander's going to be an inevitable call up for the inevitable Ty Furlong injury, because I think his calf injury is only meant to be 3 or 4 weeks. So
I was saying that the start of the week.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up back in the squad.
Yeah, but I just every time I saw something about Finlay Beelan this week, all that could go through my head was this.
Slander, slander.
It just was doing my head in. And then there was a piece about it had Andy Farrell talking about how Finlay Beelan had cried when he was talking about. Hang on a minute, what about Xander? I'm sure he cried when he was told he wasn't going on the Lions tour because he had all the kit and everything, got the photographs taken, got those lovely paintings made of him in the Glasgow and everything. And anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about tonight. But anyway, I was just a little bit wound up about that whole thing. So yeah, this week the news.
I'm absolutely loving seeing you defend Xander.
Well, you see, this is a thing, right? And this is God. We're getting started again. You've won my ticket tonight. Brian Dalglish is saying surely Javan Sebastian is on standby. Brian, I'm sure. I believe John Anderson might pop his head around the door in the Patreon tonight, and he'll have something to say about Javan. I'm sure. I can hear him saying it already.
I think Craig's ahead of Javan in the queue for the Lions call up. It can't be that far away, Craig.
But yeah, I don't know. We have got the Lions is all. I get all excited about the Lions. I love the Lions. It really is exciting. But it's just all just been thrown away. And you try to support. You know, obviously we've got a couple of players from Edinburgh, a couple of players now from Glasgow, etc. And you want to be supportive and everything like that because I want to see these players excel and have fun. But then when someone that a tight head prop who's from Scotland, who you actually think is one of the best tight head props in the world, gets a body blow like that, and then they bring in another Irish player to bore the hell out of us on the Lions tour and scrummage poorly. It just weighs my ticket. That's all it is.
I mean, if a winger got injured, they'd probably pick Finlay Beelan ahead of Darcy Graham. The Darcy Graham exclusion is just. I mean,
Did they not pick Finlay Beelan?
I went over the Darcy Graham exclusion the last time I was on, and I think it's just mental. I even went on a Edinburgh rugby Facebook thing and said, this is just nonsense. The man should have been ahead of every single player, every other back 3 player.
The thing is, we'd have put out Doohan, wouldn't we, to have Darcy?
Any day of the week.
I think we all feel like that.
I think Mac Hansen should have been at the door anyway in the first place, but that's a different story. I'm not a fan of him at all, but anyway, that's a different story. So yeah, we'll move on to the news this week because I was going to try not to talk about the Lions, but it slipped in there. Rory Darch has been named as tour captain as the team has been announced. Obviously, Finn's not there to be co-captains. I'm actually quite happy because there's a proper captain now instead of co-captains, which I think is a bit rubbish. Iain, Rory Darch, I thought he'd had a fairly quiet Six Nations, but he seems. Is he a level-headed captain? Is he someone that's going to do a good job?
Absolutely, we've seen him. I agree with you. I'm not a fan of the co-captain thing, particularly when I think Townsend, he didn't want to give Finn Russell the full all-out captaincy, so that's why when he did it was a shared responsibility. Darcy's one of these guys who leads by example on the pitch. No, he doesn't. I don't think he's going to shout and holler at people, but people are going to follow him into battle. Six Nations wise, I mean, was he peak? Maybe not. But then he made the URC Elite 15 that was announced last week. The thing is, the man's just set himself such ridiculously high standards. If he falls slightly below that, you kind of go, yeah, that wasn't great, but it's still better than most people.
Yeah. And the touring team has been announced. From what? There's no major surprises in the touring team. Forwards wise, we've got a couple of new caps going: Finn Richardson and Alexander Masibaka. So, Mark, what are they going to add to the team? Are they going to give us some? Is it more just future?
Yeah, I think Finn Richardson is being looked at with a view to the future, because anybody we can get playing in the front row and giving them an opportunity to prove themselves. I think Masibaka, from what I've seen, because you can see a wee bit of him online, he plays for Auvergne.
It's Soyu Angoulême.
Angoulême, It's Angoulême, a place where I've actually been a half a dozen times. It's not a big town. It's pretty de. But he's got a real kind of hard running, line breaking kind of view to him. He's a baller for a number 8. So I think he's probably being taken just to see. And I think that's reasonable for a summer tour, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Jonny, Fergus Burke is going as well. Adam Hastings is going. We've obviously got Harry Patterson's back fit as well. Some interesting choices, but it'll be interesting to see how they go, yeah? Jonny?
Yeah, it will be interesting to see Fergus Burke, because he sort of had he had a lot of buzz and then kind of nothing, and everyone said you should watch every Saracens game because he's brilliant, and then you couldn't really see much of him for a while at Saracens, and he was getting brought into camp as soon as he was available, and then he never really appeared. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know what's going to happen behind Finn. I think it's right at the moment. Hopefully we've got another World Cup out of Finn, and then a couple of years after that. But then behind that, I mean, it really is literally kind of anybody's game at the moment. So I reckon Burke's out to probably make an example and see if he can get himself in that pecking order. But I think it's just, I don't know, the way that he's been sort of up and down before he's even been in a camp is, we'll wait and see what happens.
Yeah, the thing is, Jonny, though, maybe I'm looking into things far too, with a bit of a thinking there's spies everywhere. But Fergus Burke, he's about to be usurped by Saracens' brand new old school 10/12 coming back from his year out going round Europe.
His gap year.
So are we expecting him? Is this a prelude to Fergus Burke signing for Glasgow as a 10, Jonny?
That depends whether the rumours about Dan Lancaster signing for Glasgow are true or not. Because that's another sort of young Scots qualified 10. And the story was it's basically as good as a done deal. I think his dad accidentally let slip that he was coming to Glasgow. Yeah. So if Dan Lancaster's the future at Glasgow, is he an idea of the future of Scotland? Or is Fergus Burke, are we going to bring Fergus Burke back once he kind of slips down the order at Saracens? It's all a bit messy for me at the moment. So hopefully we'll see a little bit on the summer that's going to kind of show us what the plan is. But I don't know, remains to be seen.
We'll see. And talking about the summer tour, Allan, Fergus Pringle has been appointed. He's the under-20 men's assistant coach. Has been appointed forwards coach, deputising for John DL this year. He seems to be someone who's on the rise coaching-wise. That should bring us a fresh breath of air, maybe.
I think it's a really good point, isn't it? That the summer tour isn't just about developing players; it's about developing coaches and getting a coach that's been presumably impressing with the under-20s and having a look at them in the Scotland environment. I think that's wise. It's future-proofing. So it makes a lot of sense to me.
Ian, yes, what's your thoughts on it?
Fergus, I've seen, he's quite an intimidating character. But he's quite a softly spoken but highly knowledgeable dude. He was coaching Watsonians at Super 6. So I've encountered him a few times. And then he has moved up through these stages. Seems like a very serious man. Which is what we like. We like serious men in rugby.
And you want your forwards coach to be an intimidating character, because our blueprint for forward coaches is Jim Telfer, isn't it? This is your Everest, boys. So I think nothing wrong with having a look at an intimidating, impressive coach.
Yeah, and Mark. Scott Lawson is stepping in as assistant coach for the World Rugby Under-20 Cup, and then this is on until he then goes on to be Bristol Bears women's head coach.
Yeah,
an interesting move for Scott.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic move from great opportunity. I got to be honest, I was kind of surprised, but then that's possibly because I don't know enough about him as a coach. But if he's good enough to be assistant under-20s and good enough to be Bristol women's, because I mean, let's be honest, they're a good and renowned team in the PWR down south. So people must be seeing something in them. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for him. I'm very guilty. I mean, you guys know I'm a big supporter of the women's game, but I'm very, very guilty. I looked at it and went, "Oh wow, great! Maybe that's he's wanting to be looking at for Edinburgh or Glasgow or the national side in the future." And of course, I think there is a worry that some male players, male ex-players, and male coaches see the women's game as a stepping stone, and I think that might be grossly unfair at Scott Lawson because I don't know anything about the guy. But yeah, nevertheless, it's a great opportunity for him.
Yeah. We touched on a bit of Lions chat, but obviously we've got a game tomorrow. We're recording this on Thursday, so the team has been announced, and we have Sione Tuipulotu back at 13. Hugh Pilotu's not happening at the moment. Andy Farrell has broken the spell. We've got Scott Cummings, I think, on the bench. We've got Schumann on the bench as well. And Duhan is on the wing, isn't he? He's not on the bench, is he?
No, he's not.
Yeah, and they called up Jack Van Portfleet into squad rather than bringing in Ben White. Mind you, Ben White's probably still involved with
I think it's too long being involved in the top 14. That means White wasn't called up.
Yeah, because Jack Van Portfleet didn't really have a great final, but that's a different story altogether. But yeah, Jonny, it's an interesting. Are we expecting a bomb squad on the coming off the bench with Schumann and Cummings coming on to support, or are we just seeing them getting an opportunity to come on and have a try? They're trying out for the test team.
First things first, I never want to see anyone be derogatory about the Geography 6 ever again, because as soon as a photograph of Jack Van Portfleet in Lions stash appears, that is completely null and void, because how he has ended up as an actual genuine fully fledged badge-wearing member of the Lions after Saturday's final is absolutely beyond me. Like, there's a reason he doesn't get to play for England anymore. We saw it on Saturday, and now all of a sudden he's in the Lions. So blast your Geography 6 for a start. As far as Friday goes, I was at the Japan game before the 2021 tour.
I
And
still
it's
have
very
my cup.
much. Oh, so you do. I forgot that.
Yeah.
I was like sneaking around stashing cups because all the beer ran out before the game started. It was very much like an opposed training session that they sold tickets to. Now, obviously, the Lions this year have already done an opposed session against Portugal when they were out at the training camp. I think this will be slightly more high octane than the Japan one was last year, I would think. But you don't feel like there's a lot of the test players involved in this one. Sione probably is the Scottish player with the best chance of being in the test team, you would think. And I'm assuming that he's playing at 13 to give Farrell a chance to see, how flexible could he be with his centre options. I think outside of that, there's maybe 4 or 5 test players in that team. I think someone would have to go really, really, really well against Argentina to put themselves straight into test consideration.
I mean, there's an element, it's who's available as well, isn't there? Because, those that have just come off the Premiership and URC finals, if they played a decent amount, aren't going to be selected. By nature, they're going to be ones that are going to be closer to the test team. I think Shoney is in A, because there's not that many other people. B, to have a look at him at 13, and C, because he needs minutes. He's not played a lot. So just getting them up to speed and match fitness.
It'll be an interesting one because obviously Ian Sione is used to being at 12 outside Finn Russell, being his second playmaker as such. I don't see Bundyaki being the second playmaker. So are we looking at a really wide game and they're expecting, or are they going to be maybe swapping around every so often and you'll have your second playmaker, Sione and Bundyaki outside him. And
look, you don't have to go back too far in the annals of this podcast to find me going, why is Sione playing at 12? He's never played at 12. This is ridiculous. Come on now. Things change. And Aki, when he was at Connacht, when they won, he played at 12 quite a lot. And he's quite actually deft of hand. He was he's a decent enough passer. He's not just a battering ram. He's got an all-round good skill set, and so I think the pairing together is a mildly terrifying prospect. I mean, now obviously, Tui Pilotu is sort of more, you would say his standard position is 12 because he's got Hugh Jones beside him. But then, if and when hopefully Hugh Jones is back, the damage they can cause together, and then you can bring Aki on in a second half and just decimate anyone. It's just that triumvirate on its own is quite a terrifying prospect to pick 2 out of 3 out of.
right. Well, I think kickoff is 7:00 tomorrow night, so Friday night. So it should be interesting to see, and we'll see how much of a crowd the Irish can draw up. I think they were saying it's sold out. The Aviva is sold out, I believe. So we'll wait and see how that goes. Last bit of news. Sorry?
No, I was going to say, I saw something online just this afternoon from one of the guys over in Ireland saying that he's getting messages even this afternoon saying they've reduced the price of tickets and have as many as you like.
Yeah, that appeared at about 2:00, I think, and then at about 5:00 it was sold out.
Yeah.
Because this is mind-blowing to me, because they reduced the price of tickets to watch the Lions play an uncapped game in Dublin against the Pumas on Friday night from €140 to €125.
Jeez, oh.
So I had a chat with some tickets from a colleague and friend, and he got decent tickets, but it was €193 a seat. You have to get to Dublin for that. And I was very genuinely pleased he thought of me, but also it was a bit spendy for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, that's mental.
Absolutely, yeah. So we'll finish up with that. The last, unfortunately, we're going to finish up on the free to air part on a bit of a downer, but I feel it's important that we talk about it, and we will talk about it in the Patreon bit where we can swear, because it is a bit of a sweary thing. USC Eagles have announced their squad, and would you believe a certain Rufus McLean has been named in the USC Eagles squad. And Allan, it is important to talk about second chances and etc.
Yeah, I think. I mean, he's been found guilty. He has done served his punishment for that. And I suppose there is, what about rehabilitation? You can't have once an offender, always an offender. But you would need to feel, or at least for me to feel good about it, you'd need to feel that he'd actually done some work to rehabilitate, to actually do it rather than just sort of move into another country that he's also eligible to play for and quietly just playing for them and hoping it's all blown over. And it feels very much that the latter's happened rather than the former. So I think he should have had a chance. I mean, yes, absolutely rehabilitation, but no, I don't think he's done enough to say that he has rehabilitated.
Yeah, and Iain, this is the thing, and I'm pretty angry about it, and I think some of us are. I'm not going to speak for any of us, but the issue we have is that there has been no, from what I can see, no contrition, and no issues with there's been. We talked about this ages ago about Paddy Jackson and how he could have solved a lot of his problems by getting involved with a women's charity and showing, absolutely some an apology, and that he's going to try and work hard to recuperate the damage and some apologies for the victim, etc. But as we all know, none of that seems to happen, Iain.
No, and also I was looking up and you guys just started talking about an intro. Remember, there's Patrick Dewhurst, Scotland under 20 player who was sentenced for secretly filming sexual encounters. And this is the thing, these people are in high-profile positions. They are role models. Whenever I hear people say, "Oh, sport people aren't role models," yes, you are. You're in public eye. You're a role model. You're in a position of influence. People look up to you. You should have a code of discipline for a start, which doesn't involve doing things like that. But if you have been caught guilty of something like that, and like you said, rehabilitation is the key, and you are then in a position of influence to tell young people, this is not how you act, this is how things should be. Get your Andrew traits and all that off to the side, because remember, this is still the Patreon part, so I was going to say something far, far ruder, right? You push that lot to the side and be decent. Like you said, they just all they seem to do is disappear to a different country. Usually Montpellier are going to pay you for some money there. And it's like they just forget about it. They forget about the damage to leave behind. They just like, right, cool, that's a fart in the wind. I'm away now. I didn't do anything.
And that is the worrying thing, Jonny. It's move away, keep the head down, and then all of a sudden you get your second chance. Now I don't listen. I've been given second chances myself on certain things, and I have to say that a second chance is an important thing, but you have to show some sort of contrition, and I'm not entirely sure if he has.
Yeah, and at the time, everyone knows that we're quick to jump on the union and jump on the pro teams when we think they've done something wrong. At the time, I was really pleased with the way that the SRU and Glasgow handled it, because they basically just went, nah, absolutely nothing to do with you, got rid of him, which I think was completely the right thing to do. I still think it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
If he had shown proper contrition and like you've all said, worked to improve things, done the things that we've spoken about that the people who find themselves in that situation should be doing, I'd be more than happy for him to go and have a second chance somewhere. I probably still wouldn't want him back at Glasgow. But, you do the work to earn a second chance, you deserve a second chance. But I think you're all absolutely spot on. I don't think he's done the work. The only sort of bright spot to take from it is that we are still having nothing to do with him. We did, Glasgow, Scotland, did what they had to do, washed their hands of him at the earliest possible opportunity, didn't glorify his send-off, didn't say, he's departing, thanks for your service, any of that sort of thing. We're just like, nah, you're nothing to do with us now. And what the USA Eagles want to do with him, as far as I'm concerned, is their business, but it's not the road that I would be taking.
Yeah, and I think, Mark, considering the USA Eagles have a very, very strong media profile for the women's team, it's a difficult decision that's been made.
Yeah, I mean,
or an odd one.
I'm kind of surprised at the Eagles because I don't think. I know the player base isn't huge, but fast guys are not the thing they're hugely lacking. So I'm kind of surprised at that. But yeah, it is. I mean, as I just, I reiterate exactly what everybody said. You have to allow for rehabilitation, but you need to have an example of that having happened, and I'm not convinced we've all seen that. The only other thing I will slightly soften that with is I was very conscious at the time that, wrong that it was and all of that, the way he dealt with it afterwards, he was a stupid wee laddie. He was 21 in the public eye, earning buckets of cash, and made silly decisions. And I do wonder if maybe he could have done with a wee bit of better support in that context as well, to help him understand that he needed to show contrition and show that he was going to make an attempt to rehabilitate, because I'm not sure just taking off to the US was a smart thing to do by any stretch.
We don't know how he was advised, of course. We don't know if he was advised to just go or not. I think there's also in your support as well. I think with the Patrick Dewhurst and with this, I think there's something about we've got a lot of young men in sort of environments with lots of other young men, and not perhaps going into workplace with significantly older and wiser heads, So I do wonder if there's something that we need to look at in the academy system about education and a sort of more rounded thing on these things about respect.
Well,
can I quickly just a final little thing? If I know we're time conscious, but now, who's the most popular rugby player in the world at the moment? It's Allan Maher, right? This might be USA Rugby shooting themselves in the foot, seeing as the amount of women that are being brought into the sports, and then here you have a domestic abuser who's just been welcomed into the national team.
Yeah,
amongst all the other things, PR suicide, and also he's a dreadful person.
Okay, well, we're going to discuss a little bit more about that. We've got a few more things. Our patented Hands in the Ruck as well on the Patreon side of things. We're also going to have a discussion and a deep dive into the URC season and review it as well. So that's us done for Free to Air. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's been a great season. Thanks very much for all of your support and your listening to our ramblings. We are going to come back. We'll have some Patreon specials hopefully throughout the off season, and with the Lions, etc., coming up, and then we will come back for the URC season 2025 and 2026, along with our autumn internationals, etc., that are all going to come up. So thank you so much to everyone who's been involved in the pod, and tonight Ian Hay Mark Riley, Alan McDonald, John McGinty, thank you very much for joining us. And to you, all that are listening, thanks very much for listening to us and joining us. And we'll see you soon.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Cheerio.
Bye.
Tell me your true thumb all the way down. Edgy face.
Let's see if this works. No, it doesn't work on this. In some messaging apps in Mac, if you make a heart with your hands, like loads of hearts burst out over the screen.
All right.